Hey everyone, you are watching the Rap Report, How to Get Away with Murder. We are doing the finale of season one and we are very excited. I am your host, Sofia Stanley, joined by...
Hey, what's up? I'm Cornelia.
Hey, what's up? This is Bam Erickson.
Well, you know what? Before we actually get into dissecting and analyzing the episode, what were kind of your guys' first thoughts on not only the finale, but the fact that it was a two-part or a 2-hour finale for How to Get Away with Murder?
I thought that I see where they were going with this because I don't think we would have wanted to wait after we saw what happened on part one. So I thought it was good. It was a nice, good build-up, and plus, with the other show coming on with
American
Felicity,
Crime.
yeah, with Felicity Huffman, I think it was a scheduling thing where they have enough episodes to where they need to push so that it can end what it needs to end for the stuff that they have for the summer. So I think it was a scheduling thing why they had it to do a two-part, but I could have actually done with just 1 hour, me personally.
How about you, Cornelia?
I didn't mind the two-part. I think if you would have put it in 1 hour, it would have just gotten like crowded. But they spaced it out enough so enough things happened so that, we were still able to understand and still able to keep the pace of the actual show. I didn't mind it. I was pretty satisfied, especially at the very end.
Yeah, say that last part again, Cornelia.
I said especially at the very end, I was very satisfied.
Agreed, and it's so funny because I don't know what this means, but I was like, when it was over, I was like, oh, like I wasn't angry, I wasn't happy, I wasn't anything. I kind of felt very content, and I was shocked because the fact that we don't do our show immediately gives us time to kind of look at Twitter and social media and Facebook and so on, and I saw tons of people cursing out Shondaland. And once I watched it, I kind of was surprised why. However, even though I was very content today, and you're going to probably notice in the show, it was actually hard for me to come up with topics because I felt like they kind of put a really nice bow on a lot of things. Yes, I have some more questions, but at the same time, it flowed very well for me. And like Bam said, if it had been one episode last week and one episode next week, I would have been mad because it would have ended right at Rebecca in the bathroom, and I would have been like, oh no, you're kidding me. Like, I gotta wait a week to figure out what happened. I think I would have been irritated. But I for the most part, I felt very content with it.
Yeah.
I felt very content. So, you know what, let's just jump right into this. And, basically, the finale is all about two things that are really interconnected. It's really about, the students, the Fab Five, starting to break down, as well as the reason that they're breaking down is because Wes is now questioning whether or not Rebecca really, in fact, murdered Lila. And if she murdered Lila, then him killing Sam was not justified. Because arguably the only way that he could rationalize in his head that he killed Sam and it was not murder is because he was not only defending Rebecca, but in essence he killed a murderer, therefore justice was served. Did this catch anybody by surprise, the fact that Wes started to turn on Rebecca, or do you think that it was the normal course of what had to happen?
I think it was not only the normal course of what to happen, but I've said from the jump, you can't trust this girl. She makes snide comments. She's never, she has a chip on her shoulder, and you can't trust her actions. So for me, it was only a matter of time, as Annalise said in part two, that Wes finally grew up. He was this little young chicken-head little boy who fell in love with some girl, and he literally took everything she said as the truth. And it took for him to get some answers on his own with realizing why the guy was sent away. He started to finally grow up and say, wait a minute, she's not all what she says she is. So for me, it was time.
I agree. I think it was time, and my thing is, even with her, why didn't she just tell what happened? If you didn't kill her, You were in the water tank. Like, why did you just say this the whole time? Except for the fact that about she slipped her neighbor a Mickey. You can't really tell people that you out here slipping Mickeys. However, just tell the truth. I don't know. The whole time, like Bam said, I was like, she's shady. Why is he throwing himself into this relationship with this girl? You don't really know her. And just her whole demeanor. Is she just, you give her a permanent side eye. So I'm happy he finally got to that place. I'm sad that he was so upset about it. Like, he seemed really depressed that he did not know that she had this kind of heart or her intentions weren't pure. That was what was weird to me.
No, I completely agree with you guys. Let's kind of dissect Rebecca a little bit. So how did you feel about the scenes that we saw that not only did she seduce Griffith, but that she texted Lila to make sure that she saw that she was seducing her boyfriend and that he wasn't a good guy? Did that surprise you guys? Did you think that the ends justified the means, or do you think that in essence he kind of coerced it, if that makes sense?
I think when I saw that play out, I wasn't surprised that she would do something like that. I was disappointed that she felt like she had to. Somebody tells you, you have a little tiff with a girl, and she tells you she doesn't want to be your friend anymore, and that she's going to get back with this guy, and your only way to convince her, instead of just letting her be and learning her lessons on her own time or finding another way, is to have sex with the dude and have her come in while you sleeping with him. I'm disappointed that those were her only tactics, because she didn't have to go about it that way.
Do you think that Lila was out of line in kind of how she quote unquote broke up with Rebecca? Do you think she went one step too far, basically calling her, a townie, and that basically she was raised better than this, and that blaming the fact that she's pregnant and slept with a married dude on Rebecca? Do you think that was out of line, or do you think that was simply what happens when people have a fight and they basically, try to intentionally hurt somebody?
That's what people do to intentionally hurt people. And for her, Lila's crazy too. She's crazy. She's not stable, and she's the kind of character who will blame anyone to make herself feel better. So
I agree.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all.
And look at these two girls. These are two girls who sat on the rooftop of a sorority house, not their own private residence, and was doing lines of coke. Anybody could have walked up there and saw this. These are two girls who have a level of entitlement or leisure. I don't even know if leisure is the word, but they're that relaxed and that comfortable that they would be doing coke on a rooftop where anybody could just walk up there. So I'm not surprised that she took that route as far as breaking up with Rebecca, because that's just the type of person that she is.
Okay. No, and that leads me, because I've been going back and forth since I watched this finale about not only Rebecca threatening the students with the fact that she could potentially find the college police officer who saw them at Annalise's house, but where did that entitlement come from for her to think that it was a good idea to threaten people who arguably have always tried to protect you, number one, and number two, who have their own sense of self-survival, and regardless of whether or not you did or did not kill Lila, you're a liar, and you have lied on almost every single occasion. They've caught you in a lie, and now instead of fessing up or owning up to the lie, you threaten them, and then are kind of surprised at how they reacted. I kind of couldn't wrap my brain around what she was thinking. And what was a little bit more disturbing for me is I kept thinking, what would I have done? Because I kept wanting for there to be another alternative, that they actually didn't have to tie her up, that they didn't need to gag her, that they didn't need to put her in the bathroom, and they didn't need to call Annalise. But I honestly can't think of another viable alternative other than letting themselves possibly go to jail. And not only go to jail, but go to jail for someone that they were actually protecting. I don't know. Did you guys have that same question? Did you guys think like, oh no, it makes perfect sense? I don't know why. There was somehow a moral dilemma that I wanted to say that they were wrong, but I really can't find a way to find that they were wrong in what they did to Rebecca, once they realized she was lying and once she threatened to go to the police.
I don't think, I'm going to say no, they weren't wrong, because Rebecca is the kind of person where no matter, she's like one of those, I'm not going to say guys, I'm going to say she's one of those persons in a relationship where you walk over to the house, you look in the window, you see them cheating, you walk into the door, they're in the bed, and then he's like, no, I ain't sleep with her. No, that wasn't me. I didn't sleep with her. She's one of those people where you literally can lay out the whole entire map, show pictures and everything, and say boom, 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 you busted. She will not ever tell the truth, no matter how much you tell her she's lying. She's one of those kind of people, she will never reveal the information. And she really thinks in her head that she can always get the best of people. So, okay, you got me in a lie. Well, guess what? I'm a blah, 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 blah. Because she thinks that her words and what she can do is stronger because she's used to hurting people and always getting her way.
I think, though, she does that, not because she knows she can get the best of people, but she said, who's going to believe me over these other types of, or either her or Wes said it. They insinuated nobody's going to believe her over actual law students or somebody with a different upbringing. I don't think she thinks that she can get the best of people. I think she's only doing that because she knows she can. She cannot, because when it comes down to it, let's say Rebecca did find this police officer and she put everything in motion to try to say that they killed Sam. Like for real, who's gonna believe her over some law students? Even if she has evidence or she can put together, they're gonna really give her the side eye because she was already on trial for murdering Lila. She sells drugs. She does this because I think she feels she has to, not because she feels like she can, always have one up on people. I think that's just how she feels like she can survive.
Okay. No, makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense. So let's kind of start our kind of move forward with when Annalise, comes into the apartment and realizes that they have bound and gagged Rebecca, and she, immediately turns the tables, brings Rebecca to the house, and in essence says, okay, well then we need to find the truth, and the only way that we find the truth in a manner in which Annalise knows and respects is that they basically have to have a trial. Rebecca needs to have her day in court that she never had for them to find out the truth. That's the first part, as well as the fact that in Annalise's mind, the truth is whoever can tell the most convincing narrative. So were you surprised at that, in the same point that Annalise kind of indulged them and allowed them to go down this road? Or do you think that she kind of basically should have just strong-armed Rebecca from the very beginning and said, you know what, to quote Bam, so what, who cares? We already got Rebecca off, so it's immaterial. Who cares if she did or did not kill Lila? And let's move forward and just make sure that she's not going to tell on anyone, and let's go about our lives. Were you guys surprised that she didn't pick the latter and that she picked going to trial?
I think, no, I'm not surprised, because her students are not as reliable as we think they are. So you have because they're kids, are already going through what they're going through. It's kind of too much for them, and the first thing I thought was just kill her. Just kill her and be dead and just be done with it. But I thought that by them going to trial, that it could also help clear the conscience of the kids. So I think that her law students, I think she was trying to look out not just for herself, but she was more so trying to figure out what would be best to help these kids relinquish their lives and what they've gone through these past 6 months.
Interesting. I like that. I like that. So it's almost like she needed them to go down this path so that they themselves would be convinced that Rebecca didn't do it, number one, that Sam did, number two, and therefore their actions in having any part in killing Sam was justified.
Yeah.
Okay, I never thought about it that way. I really like that, Bam. I really like that.
Yeah.
I like
I
that.
thought, I mean, the whole time that was happening, I was just like, Rebecca, just tell them what happened, girl. I was over her. Yeah, they needed to do this so that they can come to the conclusion on their own, but she was just sitting on the couch with an attitude like she couldn't say, this is what happened. Run it down.
And I'm going to go one step further. Do you think that also, too, she was, brazen isn't the right word, but again, they've killed somebody. Think about it. They've actually already killed someone. Do you think in her kind of playing this, like, I'm strong, I'm tough, I'm going to keep lying, and when you ungag me, I'm going to scream and all of this stuff, do you think that she actually almost signed her own death warrant by being so, it's not argumentative in the word, but so non-helpful? That's not the word I'm looking for, but do you think she basically signed her own death warrant because she wasn't playing ball?
Yes, 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 yes.
And
I wouldn't say she signed her own death warrant.
I want to be deliberately argumentative, but I can't because, again, I can't see any other way to go about this because it's like, again, here, Connor, comes to the, not Connor, Asher comes to the door, again, wanting to be a part of everything, and Frank basically has to have a conversation with him, and he outs himself that he's having an affair with Bonnie, and here you have Rebecca, instead of keeping her shut, she's all texting someone on Mikaela's phone, eggs 911, and it's literally like, dude, unless eggs 911 is like a SWAT team that is standing around the corner, you must know this isn't going to end well.
And who do you think she was texting?
You know what? And it's funny. I've gone back and forth. And the only thing that I can say is twofold. And I'm going to talk out of both sides of my mouth. On one level, I really think she fell for Wes. I think there was something, and Cornelia, jump in. Cornelia, we have online and offline talked about the fact that broken people are often attracted to broken people because it makes sense. You can't have like a healthy person and then a broken person. That doesn't work. So they were drawn together because like attracts like. However, I've always questioned, here you initially had this rude little girl who didn't want anything to do with him, then kind of, slips him a bottle of wine, and then fast forward, like, oh my God, all of a sudden they're dating, and she could be a murderer, and she's on trial, and I'm your attorney, not attorney, because I'm really a 1L client, boyfriend, whatever. That something didn't make sense where I'm like, has she been playing him the whole time? And if she's been playing him the whole time, is she smart enough to do that, or is there someone else pulling the strings? I didn't think that to begin with, but once I saw the text, that's kind of where my brain went. My brain went, so she's never talked to anyone else? Like, she doesn't confide in anyone else? Like, she really has absolutely no friends? Not even, and this is going to sound maybe too far away, but even, like, where does she get her drugs from? She obviously is a drug dealer, like an actual real hardcore boss. Where she gets her drugs from.
Yeah, I thought that too. When she texts somebody, the fact that I was upset that she was texting, I was like, girl, who you texting? You don't got no friends out here. Don't nobody fool with you. Who are you texting? So I was like, so now all of a sudden she has a crew and this person is going to come capping for her when they find out she's missing. Beat it. No, you like, who are you texting? That made me upset. Not that she was doing it, and not that her texting, she signed her own death wish, but now all of a sudden somebody wants to be in your presence and you got somebody else's phone number. But going back, I don't think she signed her own. Well, I wasn't expecting them to kill her. I was surprised because if this was real life, somebody would have slapped her in the face by then, and I'm not the type to condone violence. But that smart mouth and having to tie her up in the bathroom somebody would have laid her out. You talking about people who killed someone, and she's now telling them that she's going to tell on them. Girl, I would have knocked her silly. I am not going to just let you play me when this man died because you broke in the house and you were trying to get the information off of his laptop. Girl, beat it.
You know,
that made me, I was really upset.
You know, for me, I think that having Mikaela be the tough girl and try and give it to her, I felt Mikaela is the wrong person. Mikaela is all bite and no bark. She's full of shit, and you always trying to threaten people like I'll ruin your life. Or bitch, sit down. Like I felt that really it should have been who's the one that's messing with. Wait, I'm blanking out with the names. Laurel. I think it should have been Laurel who should have checked her and potentially punched her, not Mikaela. Mikaela, you lose everything with me because she's a perpetrator. She's fake. She's a fraud.
Okay, and see, it's funny that I actually, your analysis, I agree with your analysis, but I come to the exact opposite conclusion. I feel like Mikaela is the perfect person because to me, when you're living a facade or you're living a lie, kind of similar to Rebecca, you're willing to do anything to protect it. Like the way that she started to break down and she was like, basically like, Aiden broke up with me. Does that make sense? Meaning like, I'm perpetrating this lie. I'm no longer engaged to this man because of you. Like, F you, I'm going to destroy you because you've destroyed me and you've destroyed the facade that I was building. And if you do that, I have nothing. And I think it's ironic, and I think this is why the writers had to kind of have her have that moment, and then they had to have the scene with Aiden's mom, because the fact that she realized she's doing all this for a facade, I think she kind of was like, oh my God, I'm over this. Like, I'm tired. Like, I think she realized she can't control her life. She realized she can't control the world, so she basically was like, okay, F it, I'm about to be me. And that's why that scene with Aiden's mom, not only did you notice her kind of relax into herself, all of a sudden her accent came back, and she was like, oh, wait, oh, I get it. You know he's gay. Do you know what I mean? And she's like, oh, no. Like, I can no longer be bought. I am no longer a party to this facade. So I feel like that anger that was coming towards Rebecca was all of that. And I feel like if anyone, they could have actually taken the scene one step further, and I think Mikaela could have slapped her, and that would have felt organic. Versus Laurel is actually very calculated. Like, and I think I've said this from day one, Laurel hands down gets the trophy. I don't care what goes on in season 2. Laurel has always held this group down because she's always being strategic and she's always thinking. So I feel like Laurel would never have threatened her because that's not Laurel's way. Laurel's way is, okay, how do I calculate? How do I strategize? How do I maneuver? But I'm never kind of the one who everybody sees. I'm actually the one who's always behind the scenes making things happen. Even in so much as she says to Frank, like, oh, you know, basically, like, worst case scenario, are you going to handle this? Basically, no, like, she's basically saying, oh, you going to kill him? I mean, kill Rebecca? But even though I agree with you, Bam, that she would be the person to do it, she would never be the person to out herself by having an actual outburst.
No, and that I totally agree. There's only 2 women, so you can't have a guy slapper. So I prefer her over Mikaela because Mikaela, you know, I get that you are tired of this and you're relinquishing this facade that you're doing, but you can't destroy anybody because you're really weak.
Ooh.
You don't destroy, like, really, Rebecca would take you out. So I'm all about the words. And she uses words that she can't back up. So you can't destroy Rebecca. Sit down.
All right. Well, was there ever a moment where you kind of thought that Wes was in fact going to snap? So again, let's kind of continue to go down this Rebecca line for a little while longer, and then we'll move on to some of the other characters. But the fact that Rebecca, insinuated, or not insinuated, but basically said that Wes probably killed his mom. Was there a moment when you started to A, question that, and then number 2, were you kind of like, yo, is this boy gonna snap on her? Like, really? Like, is this boy basically who killed a man with his bare hands, arguably with a trophy, but killed a man for this girl who is now basically not only a liar and a possible murderer, but she's insinuating that he not only is a murderer but murdered his mom? Did you ever think, oh no, he's going to snap?
No, I didn't think he was gonna snap because he hadn't snapped on her this whole time, and he's not gonna snap because if you initiate or are willing to get into a relationship with somebody like her, you ain't snapping on nobody. You just not. So I was disappointed that he was sitting there like a Derek Downer the whole time. After, you know, when they were at the office or at the house, he was just moping around, and Annalise had to come in and ask him, dude, are you a man? Like, get up and do something. But until she said that, he was just going to sit there. So I didn't expect him to snap because he liked her, and even after all this, I'm not liking nobody that's on trial for murder. I don't care if I think you did it or not. I'm sorry. I'm not riding for a goon. But I was disappointed that he was this whole time just like, well, I don't, she said that about my mom. And then he like laid back down in the chair. Boy, beat it. I was upset with him and his actions.
You know, there's really only two people he listens to. He listens to Annalise and he listens to Rebecca. And so I'm glad that Annalise is the one that told him, boy, get it together. But I would have liked a little more anger, a little more like, okay, in a relationship, there are gestures and there are tones that you give to let the other know, like, look, I'm not playing. I'm not in the moods. No, yes, like there's body there's gestures and there's body language and there's words that you say, and I felt that he was still this simp when he was having the conversation with her, and although she revealed that information, I would have liked to have seen him give a little bit more, like, listen, I'm tired of your games, you better speak, or like something a little more just to let her know, like, look, I'm not playing with you, I will leave your ass, boom, 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 say what you. I didn't feel any of that, and I wish he would have done that.
Okay. Well, that right before we move on, that makes me think to myself, is it weird that none of them basically said to her, you know what, chick, go ahead and tell, because we're law students, and kind of using her own words against her, like, who are they going to believe? And that none of them ran down the scenario for what she was about to do and how basically the end result would only be her ending up in jail for these reasons. Was anyone surprised that kind of no one did that? Like, no one said, okay, go ahead, tell the police, but this is what we're going to say, then this is going to happen, and so forth and so on, and you're going to end up in jail for this reason, and so go ahead.
I
am necessary.
I am surprised, and what really bothered me is how Rebecca started to plant into Connor's head about what's his background.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought about it, and because although they work together as a group literally 24/7, they're not really friends. They're not really friends. They're always throwing stones at each other. They're always trying to up one another to get the damn trophy and to be better. And what really bothers me when you think about it is there's no loyalty among the group, because if, just take for instance us, the three of us and Emil and stuff, like there is nothing that someone from the outside is going to be able to say to me about you guys to where I'm going to all of a sudden start thinking one sec, I'm going to listen, I'm going to tell you to beat it, or I'll play dumb, and I'll come back and be like, yo, look what this shit trick, blah, blah, blah. Like, there's no loyalty among the group. They literally just work together. That's it.
I think that's an excellent point. I think that shows that I think that season 2 is going to be really phenomenal, because now you have two things going on. They've obviously now known each other. They've arguably gotten away with murder, but at the same time, they don't really know each other. So all it's going to take is for arguably for there to be another hiccup.
Yeah.
And it's probably all going to disintegrate, because they really, not only do they not know each other, they're not friends. And because they don't consider themselves friends, there is no loyalty, because there's no reason for there to be. Because they came together for an artificial reason, and it wasn't as if, it would have been really different if they had been friends before and this happened versus the fact that they really had to come together because they all had a hand in this heinous act.
Yeah.
Let's kind of quickly move on to Annalise and Nate's relationship, and not only Nate and Annalise's relationship, but how hard she is trying to get him off. Do we 100% believe that that's her intent, or are we still wary of why she is trying to help him, or do we think it's obvious that she really loves him and or feels guilty?
I think she's really trying to get him off, and I think she feels guilty. I don't think she loves him, but I think she's a toxic woman in regards to other men. There's no way that you can be with someone having an affair, you get him fired from his job for throwing him under the bus, you pin the murder of your husband on him knowing damn well he didn't do it, but that was your only scapegoat, so you do that. Yeah, you tried to get him out on bond and you get him beat up in jail, got damn near shanked, but he couldn't get out because they put him in solitary. She's toxic. Like, leave him alone. Just leave him alone. Yeah, recommend a great attorney for him and walk away. And if I were him, I would cuss her out real good. I would have took that number for the person, the attorney she gave me, and I'd be like, cool, thank you. And I would have called, made sure it was set in stone, but I would have cussed her ass out. You are not going to continue to destroy my life. At what point is he going to tell her, really look at her in her face and be like, beat it? Because it's overdue.
But I guess the question is, and I don't want to use the term that Bam normally uses, but I kind of have to, is he a chickenhead? And I ask this because he already slept with her again and was arguably riding with her again after she'd already gotten him fired. And not only did she get him fired, like, she got him fired and discredited. But he still went back for more. He basically still communicated to her, I don't care if you killed your husband, I'm going to ride with you. He says, I told my dying wife about you, and all she wants me to do is to be happy. It seemed as if he was really saying, like, I don't want to be your side boo. I want to be your proper man. Your husband is dead now. I don't really care the reason, but I'm going to ride with you. So do you think that's possibly why he really wasn't that angry? Because he knows Annalise and knows that she is actually this devious and maniacal? So therefore there was no need to have anger because he consciously stepped into this situation to a certain extent?
I mean, gosh, Nate is just too cool for his own good because oh my God, like,
No, I hear what you're saying. Like, he doesn't get enraged.
Annalise, she needs her life punched out. I'm sorry. Not by Nate, but he doesn't have a sister.
Like some aunties or something.
An auntie or somebody. Annalise needs a beat down, and I stop laughing at me. I can't fathom. I can't fathom why he's still talking to her. I mean, I don't get it. I mean, she must have the best coochie in the world. I don't get it. I'm sorry.
I was just about to say that, ma'am. I was about to say that. Either he's a chickenhead or he straight PW'd. He's PW'd by what she be doing in them sheets.
I don't get it. He's such a nice guy, and I don't know if I would have been able to be in her presence after I just got beat up. He did nothing. He was, I don't get it. I just don't get it. I don't get it. That's all I have to say. But I will say this. I wonder who's going to be this famous lawyer that comes in for season 2. You know, will it be Olivia Pope? And they'll cross-connect? Who's going to be this lawyer?
Man, you have to repeat that again. What did you just say, man?
I just said the lawyer that, hold on, now that I think about it, the area code, it wasn't 202.
212. It was 212.
Is that
New York?
Because I like where you're going.
But I thought to myself, this will be great if they cross-connect the two shows like they used to do Grey's Anatomy and Private Practice. It will be great if the lawyer was actually Olivia Pope coming to I just think it would be great because I'm thinking to myself, okay, it's a lawyer. The lawyer wasn't revealed, so that means it has to be somebody like on point and on fire for season 2. I mean, why not have it be Olivia Pope? What other famous lawyers that we've seen on TV that we would actually care about?
I hear you. I mean, I actually really like that prediction. The only other person that I would love to see would be Glenn Close. Because to me, when
Yes.
I think of TV and lawyers and kind of like maniacal and devious, I immediately think damages. And so that would be the only other person that I could see. And the only reason being is, and I don't know Glenn Close's age, because to me it would have to be Annalise's mentor. Like if she, the only person that Annalise kind of, because Annalise is egotistical. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's why she kind of totally thought he was going to get bail, and he didn't get bail. She totally was like, oh, okay, we'll just get him beat up and he'll get released. Like, she kind of is a little bit too sure of herself sometimes, that the only person that she could respect enough to think that could get him off, i.e., be kind of her proxy, would have to be whoever trained her to be such a good attorney. So the person, just from an age perspective, would have to be a little bit older. And the only person that I could see Annalise kind of giving deference to would be a Glenn Close type character, as she was played on Damages.
Okay, well then I say that if it's not Olivia Pope, I hope it's someone like a Denzel Washington or a Sam Jackson, somebody like an older man. So I think they have time to fish for who will be the perfect lawyer. But if it's not Olivia Pope, Denzel can play a lawyer, Morgan Freeman. Like, I need somebody that's gonna give me a performance of a lifetime.
Like,
So,
and you mean not just a performance of a lifetime, but also literally a performance in court. Like, during court, you're going to be mesmerized and taken away. No, I really like that, Bam. I like that a lot, actually. I like that a lot. All right, well, then the only other people that we need to kind of talk about is, and I kind of touched upon it before, and it leads into kind of the ending. Were you surprised when Laurel basically asked Frank whether or not he was going to kill Rebecca?
no, she does things in a way where it's not taken so serious, or it's not, when she questions, it's more like a, Sophia, is that burgundy lipstick you're wearing? Versus, you're wearing burgundy lipstick. You know what I'm saying? It's in a way that's not as you take it as serious. It's something that is just a random blurt that she maybe wonders, but it's not something that she necessarily thinks that it is the actual truth.
And I wasn't.
Go ahead, Camelia.
I didn't feel a certain way about her asking him that, because people feel like they can ask you certain questions based on how you act towards them or how you're acting towards everybody. So the fact that she came to him and asked him, "Are you gonna do something about it? Or are you gonna kill him?" Because Frank, you be walking around like you're gonna kill everybody. If you don't want people to ask you questions like that, don't walk around like you the resident goon. Don't. But now that you present yourself like you're this fixer and that you're going to handle everything by any necessary, people going to ask you stuff like that. He set that tone. And he is a resident goon, because we saw towards the end of the episode.
No, I completely agree. And jump in, Bam, whenever you want. Hold on. I think our audio is starting to bug out a little bit. So fans out there, we apologize. If you remember the Christmas episode, they intonated that Laurel's dad was connected. And maybe I'm reading too much into the scene. But the fact that kind of he was talking about, the guy, and she was like, actually, that would be aggravated assault. And the manner in which they built it on him, part of my brain was like, I know her dad really. And therefore, maybe she actually knows that, because she's been around people like that in her life. And it's not foreign to her, despite the facade, the very elitist facade that she has. You still have elitist criminals, and so to me, I felt like there had to be some connection with her father, Frank, And now that they know each other, and the fact that she actually likes Frank, because arguably Frank's gonna have like her dad and his dad is connected.
Yeah, I didn't think about it that way.
Me neither.
Yeah, and the only reason that, and we talk about this all the time, I think one of the really good things that Shondaland shows do, and and obviously Peter Novak comes from the Shondaland world, is that they never give us scenes without it being important. So to me, all of the Christmas scenes were important for a reason, and it couldn't simply be that her mom kind of doesn't view her as an intelligent person. The only thing that her mom sees her as is a pretty girl, and therefore that's all she should be. That I feel like that was part of it, but the second part of it was also the fact that arguably there's a raw grit to Laurel that we never saw before, and maybe that's why she's so calm and cool under all these situations. Fast forward to when they're having drinks, thinking that they may go down for this murder, and she basically gives Mikaela back Mikaela's ring and tells her that she had it the entire time and that she was holding on to it for leverage. Did that catch anyone by surprise? Because I was like, go Laurel, you are my new gangster.
I was totally thrown off by that. Totally. Yeah. And I'm glad because, they do plant little things. And so I actually forgot about the whole ring. So I'm glad that that part was resolved. Can we go to Frank really quickly?
Of course.
One of the things that I like about Frank's character is he slowly crept and crept and crept into this, and I really do hate to cross-reference shows or compare, but Frank is a more sane Huck from Scandal. I had no idea that Frank was this tough, like it's one thing to plan and do other stuff, but the fact that he not killed but two people, and the gloves and
wait, back up to me. Who was the two people he killed? And we're gonna go back to this. Who are the two people he killed?
He killed Lila.
Mm-hmm.
He killed Lila, and it was odd the fact that Sam was the one who called Nate to kill him. So when have you two been homeboys like that to where you asked the? So that was something in his own. But I'm assuming, no, I'm not gonna assume that he killed Rebecca.
And that's why I asked you the question.
Yeah, I'm not gonna assume that because when they alluded that she ran out the door, that was all planted by Frank and Annalise. And now I do have to wonder if Wes has something to do with it, and if Wes potentially killed Rebecca.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The question has to be asked, and the reason being is, it kept going in my head when they were saying, "Did you do it? I thought you did it," but so forth and so on. This show is really smart in how they put scenes together so that they're leading us down a certain path, where then later on we see a sequence of events and a different sequence and it leads us somewhere else.
Yeah.
So to me, initially when I heard them say, "I thought you did it," "No, I thought you did it," "You thought I was that guy," "No, you thought I was that guy," at first I thought they were obviously talking about Lila, right? And then that made me think, okay, when Sam said, "You owe me," to whomever, which we assume is Frank, because Frank was the one who killed Lila, how did Frank owe Sam? That was the first part. But then I started to think, oh, wait a minute, were they talking about Lila or were they talking about Rebecca? So when they said, "Did you do this?" "No, did you?" "I thought you did it." And then they came back to Rebecca underneath the stairwell. Were they talking about Lila or were they talking about Rebecca?
I have no idea. Who do you think? I have no idea.
Funny thing is,
I think they were talking about
like I said,
Rebecca.
I thought it was Lila, but now my gut says they're talking about Rebecca.
Yeah, I don't think they're talking about Lila because I still don't think Annalise knows what happened with Lila. I think she's going to stay in this confused state about that because once she knows the truth and knows everything, then that's going to change how she looks at everybody. And then it's going to affect her more than it's going to affect everybody else. So I think they're going to keep that what it is, but I think she's talking about Rebecca.
Yeah, now that I think about it, I think that they were talking about Rebecca, and the fact that both of them don't know who killed her, then the question is, was she dead downstairs and they put her in there and had the door open to make the kids think that she left so now they can figure it out? And if that's the case, then it really boils down to if Annalise and Frank didn't kill, someone else did. Wes was the last person down there with her.
Exactly. And the only reason that I have to go down this line is because, to me, why mention that Wes's mom died of a suicide? Why have Rebecca say, are we sure that she really died of a suicide? Why is Wes so attracted to such a maniacal, diabolical person? Why was Wes kind of so cool after killing someone? That juxtaposed against this whole mother-child thing with Annalise, I'm like, there has to be something behind Wes that we have yet to see. And to me, it would be a normal crime of passion. Here it is that I basically effed up my whole life for this girl who has been lying to me the whole time. It's not justified, but from an emotional outburst, I can see how then he could turn on her and potentially kill her. So yeah. I think it's really up for discussion, and I think obviously we'll be discussing it for the next couple months because now we have an issue of who killed Rebecca, whether or not Nate is really going to go down for Sam's murder, who's this Eggs character, and who is this master lawyer who arguably can potentially get Nate off.
And is Frank going to eventually get caught for this?
Ooh.
Because you can kill somebody and get away with it for a while. But sometimes things start to fall apart and the real truth comes out. Not necessarily by the people around you, but somebody else. Because nobody saw Frank walking to the sorority house.
And
somebody saw everybody else. But nobody saw him.
And
he was dressed like a cat burglar, but who cares? Somebody had to have saw him.
And on top of that, when he was carrying her body up the water tank, he had the gloves, but he didn't have anything to cover his head. So when you're on the roof of things nowadays, there's always camera and there's always surveillance. So, but of course this is TV, so that's different. But I do wonder if this is my question: were any of you surprised that it was Frank who killed Lila?
I thought it was Bonnie. Throughout the whole episode, I was like, it's Bonnie.
I totally thought it was Bonnie. And then, you know what else is effed up? I was like, it's Annalise.
Yeah.
No, seriously, there was a part of me that kept thinking it's Annalise because who had the motive? The motive is, at the end of the day, like, even if he wasn't going to leave Annalise for this little girl, everything seemed like it was possible because once we started seeing those flashbacks, like he was, interviewing at Yale, and that meant that he would leave his wife. Because I've been thinking about this whole time. So what? You just gonna get a new job, and you think I'm gonna quit my job? Like, not for nothing. She's not necessarily the more successful, but the way that they show the show, she is the one who is the more successful of the two. So him wanting to leave and get another job really meant that he was gonna leave her. Motive to kill his mistress. The fact that this girl was pregnant, again, motive, especially given the fact that you guys weren't able to have children. There was a part of me that was really thinking like they were going to go down this diabolical path where maybe Annalise literally doesn't know or remember that she killed Lila, but that would actually make sense to me. And then that's the same reason I thought it could be Bonnie, because to me, Bonnie is Annalise's protector.
Yeah. And
she would take care of the situation because she loves Annalise that much. How about you? Why did you think it was Bonnie?
I thought it was Bonnie, not because of her being Annalise's protector, but because how she felt about Sam. Like when people love somebody and they secretly want to be with them and they can't be with them, and this other girl rolls up to the house talking about, I need to talk to Annalise because of Sam. As soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, Bonnie got jealous because he was giving her the draws and not Bonnie, and now she wants this girl dead. But while I was thinking that, nobody could have carried her up to that water tower except for a dude. So that always kind of got me, had me on the fence. But I really did think it was Bonnie.
Speaking of Bonnie, do you guys think that Bonnie is do you think she has feelings toward Frank?
know. I think it's a distraction.
Yeah.
Okay, just
But
random.
I don't know if she really likes. Does Bonnie like anybody?
No, and well, Bonnie does ironically like Asher, and I think that that makes sense because I feel like this is gonna sound silly. She couldn't like Frank because she definitely, because I think that Bonnie on some levels is kind of a little mouse and she is weak, she would then want to be with someone who she can dominate, which is Asher. Think about it. Asher's all sprung on her, like basically playing like boss and secretary, bending over trying to put the book and show his little bum. You know what I mean? I feel like Frank and her wouldn't be a good connect because Frank is definitely the more dominant of the two of them. And I never kind of got any sparks from them. It was definitely more like sibling relationship rather than any kind of sexual tension. And then really like they're siblings and Annalise is their parent. And the difference between Frank having undying loyalty versus Bonnie being the one who doesn't know where she stands and is still seeking approval, so she's a little bit more up and down. Versus Frank knows full well Annalise is basically God to him, and he's going to do whatever he needs to do to protect her. So I think it's more brother and sister than any kind of sexual chemistry between them.
Okay.
Yes. Well, we have absolutely enjoyed doing the rap report, How to Get Away with Murder, with you guys out there, Legal Eagles and Sean the Lights, and all of you fans of this show. So please make sure that you tweet us, you leave us comments here on YouTube or Google Plus, and we look forward to seeing you for season 2. Where can everyone reach you guys?
You can find me at Cornelia on all social media.
And you can find me on all social media at Bam Erickson.
And you can find me on all social media at Sofia Stanley. And again, thank you so much for watching the rap report, How to Get Away with Murder.